What's up, everyone? This is the Brow Whisperer from Fantasy Labs, and I'm joined here with Justin, who we all know now has no faith in Kyle Korver, cash games. But we're here to break down the Wednesday, January 27th, 8-game slate. Some really big tournaments on this slate, specifically on DraftKings. So pretty interesting and exciting slate. What's up, Justin? How's it going?
Pretty good. I feel like a new person watching Boban play live. It was life-changing. It was everything I thought it would be and a lot more. I think I was just sitting through the first three quarters of, Steph is okay, whatever. Some moves here and there, some dribble stuff, Kawhi, whatever. But when Boban came in, that's when the real fun began.
Yeah.
And what I paid my hard-earned money for, and he crushed. He
He was almost their leading scorer.
Yeah, and he faced off against Mo Spates, and it was like my dream come true.
It's an incredible experience. I know I didn't even watch the first three quarters. I mean, I saw highlights of Curry shaking Kawhi, which was whatever. I mean, it's Kawhi. He's not even that good at defense anyway. But Boban in there, I mean, that dunk he had, pretty crazy.
It's everything. Yeah, so we're back here previewing this slate. I think this slate for sure is really interesting, and I think this is a tournament slate, really, and it's going to be really hard to play heavy cash because when you look at kind of the texture of this slate, 6 out of the 8 games have spreads at or above 8.5 points. So we're looking at a lot of blowouts here potentially, and I think it'll be kind of really hard to have a lot of faith in some of these guys with these double-digit, high spreads, and they might not even see enough minutes to hit value. So I think this is a good slate to take some shots in tournaments and take a look at some reserves that will be in line likely for some extended run and some garbage time, in these likely blowouts.
Yeah, it's a great slate, I think, for tournaments. Take advantage of some guys that are going to have low ownership, and especially on the slate. I mean, on DraftKings, we got that $1 million tournament, which is awesome. So I think it's a good idea to fire a few in there and, strategically pick your lineups and hope for the best.
All right, so let's get into it. First game, Suns versus Cavs. Cavs are 16.5-point favorites. Suns coming off a back-to-back. Suns side, everybody's healthy except John Lore. Back spasms, he's questionable. Probably closer to doubtful in the second leg, but back-to-back here. And everybody's healthy for Cleveland. So, let's start with the Phoenix side. And Tyson Chandler definitely disappointing on Tuesday. Only played 19 minutes. And, we saw Alex Len look pretty good, during his stint. But, you can look at Len, I guess, but obviously a bad matchup here for big men in general versus the Cavs. Even though Karl-Anthony Towns fared well, he's obviously a lot more talented than a guy like Alex Len. I think the only guy you can even look at kind of as a punt play is Archie Goodwin still. I'm still seeing big minutes here, probably 36 to 39 minutes in this one. Maybe a little downside, so maybe 34 to 35 as a floor potentially, given the blowout potential. But given his price tag, let's see where he's at.
4,800 on DK.
Yeah, let me pull up FanDuel here. He is
41.
So I'm still good with Archie Goodwin at 4,100 on FanDuel, even with this, not great spread and not great total at 96.3. I'm okay looking at him. He's the only guy for me.
Yeah, it's tough. I'm completely off the Suns front court, especially against the Cavs defensively. And then, you look at the Suns and they're thin in their guards. So that's really the only spot you can go them. And the blowout is, scary on the surface, but I think Goodwin and even Booker to an extent will still play a full amount of minutes. But I agree. I'm definitely on the Goodwin side if you're going to go anyone in this on the back-to-back here.
All right, I don't think we need to go too deep into the Suns. Let's move on to the Cavs here. Yeah, and we've talked about the Cavs before in these big spread games where we're scared that we only see 3.5 quarters of LeBron, Kevin Love, Kyrie Irving makes them risky in cash. So for me, this is definitely more of a tournament spot because Suns in a back-to-back 16.5 point spread. I think this is definitely a game where Cleveland has a good chance of covering this big spread, and this becomes really ugly really quickly. So I definitely worry that these guys aren't going to play enough minutes to really have that ceiling either for tournaments. So kind of an interesting quandary. Where do you stand on these Cavs players in a juicy matchup?
Yeah, so I really like the matchup a lot. Obviously, in cash, it's a different story. You're not going to go LeBron, Kyrie, or Love in cash, or even consider him. Tristan is interesting if he draws the start again. We've seen him. He averages 33 minutes per start, averages a double-double when he starts, and that's 9 more minutes than when he's off the bench. So it's a pretty big boost when he draws a start here. So it's something to monitor. I don't know. Do you think he'll draw the start again against Chandler?
I do, and I think this is kind of a we saw the shift before with Mozzie coming in for Tristan. I think the tides are turning, and Tristan's going to have a shot here at a couple starts at least, and we'll see. I don't think that was just a one time.
Right. So at 4,600 on FanDuel, I'm not too against that. I'd rather go elsewhere, especially with some of these other cheap plays that we have. I don't think it's a necessity, but tournament-wise, I think it's definitely interesting. I think the big spread will scare a lot of people off. And, if this game is close enough to where these starters do see half the fourth quarter, then I think one of them can put up a big line. The guy that I like a lot in this is Kyrie because I love his individual matchup here. So he's a guy I think can have a pretty solid game if the chance that they get some big minutes in this. And obviously LeBron as well, and even Love, I think. And who else I like a lot is J.R. Swish. Great matchup for him. So, obviously I would be very careful loading up on these guys, but I think to take a flyer on a couple or one lineup each, I think is fine in tournaments.
What do you think about a decent tournament dart throw guy is Dellavedova in this one? If this one gets out of hand, because you mentioned the matchup for Kyrie, Dellavedova gets the same matchup. And even where he'll get some Lorenzo Brown too, and I think he put up 33 FanDuel points in his last game, so we kind of see a ceiling there. I don't mind that at all. I think he's 4,200 on FanDuel. So 4K on 4K on DraftKings.
Right. Yeah, I think it's important to kind of break down both sides of if this game will be close enough for these starters to stay in the fourth, or if it's just an absolute blowout. What do you do? And yeah, I agree. Definitely Dellavedova at his price.
All right. So let's move on to this next game. Denver versus Boston. Boston comes in as 8.5-point favorites. Denver injuries, Jameer Nelson sprained left wrist, not expected to play for the next 2 games. Denver has a back-to-back on Wednesday and Thursday, and on Boston's side, they're fully healthy. So let's start with Denver here. I think, the one guy that I'm looking at still is Jokic in the middle. Gallinari is cooled a little bit. I don't like this matchup against Jay Crowder. And we can talk about Moutier, but he's more always like borderline cash. You're kind of hoping that he is able to hit enough shots to hit value, even though he's going to see extended minutes with Jameer doubtful. So for me, it's kind of Jokic in cash and Moutier borderline with maybe some like Will the Thrill or Fareed in tournaments.
Yeah, I'm completely the same. I'm hesitant on Moutier, and obviously Moutier is priced a lot less on FanDuel, so you'd go him there if you're going to go him. But yeah, I don't feel too great about the matchup, the way the Celtics play team defense and limit opponents to difficult shots. So that's something that doesn't really bode well for Moutier. And then Jokic is more of a tournament play. We saw Nurkic see the court last game. That's something I think to monitor. Jokic only played 18 minutes. I know he had a huge double-double, but it's still a little bit a little scary for cash for me, where I kind of pivot. I like him a little bit more on the tournament side. So really in cash, I'm probably off everyone. And then tournament wise, I think Jokic and Will the Thrill are decent options here.
Yeah, you have a good point with the minutes there, and I mean Jokic at 5,300. That's apply to like 20 on FanDuel. Yeah, I mean that's he's shown a floor recently. Hitting 12, 18 points there below that salary expectations. So yeah, maybe you're right. Rethinking it, that he's probably definitely more tournament than.
I mean, I think he's in the cash game option. You can look at him. I wouldn't like put him at the top, but it kind of depends how the slate shakes out. And I think he's a great tournament play though. We've seen his upside a ton already. So
yeah, back-to-back 38-point game.
Right. Yeah, it's huge. So yeah, very big.
All right, so moving on to Boston's side, Isaiah Thomas, Avery Bradley, Jared Sullinger, kind of the big three. I mean, this team is pretty deep in terms of guys you can actually look at. You can go a little deeper. Marcus Smart, Jake Crowder,
even some Olynyk maybe in this.
Yeah. So. Where to start? I think cash game still Isaiah. And Avery Bradley as shooting guard always. A pretty shallow position in general. Where are we at on Sully? Confident enough in cash or still?
No. I'm not confident in Sully in cash, but yeah, I like my tournament plays on Boston are definitely Sully, Marcus Smart, and maybe some Olynyk. I think you can get away with Crowder in cash. But I definitely like Isaiah, even at his price, and then obviously Avery Bradley as well with their great matchups. I love Isaiah's matchup here, so I think he's a very strong cash play.
Yeah, he's 7,800 on DK still, so really great value there. Probably, one of the better cash game options on this slate for sure. A really solid floor there as well. Bradley, like we said, always a consideration on a FanDuel where you have to start two shooting guards, and then you're forced to look at guys like Kyle Korver. So Bradley's always in the mix there, and we'll get to Korver a little later.
They're like the same players.
Oh God. But like you said, take a look at Sully, and if you want to dart throw a little bit, Olynyk is not bad either as a smaller portion of your exposure tournament play.
Yeah, I think they could have some difficulty defending Olynyk in this one.
Yeah.
It's bigs.
And he's been pretty cold.
Right. Yeah, it's good to get Olynyk at low ownership for sure. He really has these games in hand where he can explode.
Right, like 30 DK point potential for sure, given the right circumstances. All right, so let's move on. Sixers, Pistons. Pistons favored by 12. On the Sixers side, Jahlil Okafor already ruled out with that illness. We saw Isaiah Cannon was unlikely to play with like wrist soreness, and then randomly played, and then got hurt with a sprained ankle and is questionable now. So
did he come back ever or no?
No, I don't think he came back. He checked out like late in the third quarter and never came back.
Okay.
Yeah, he's still questionable as of now. I haven't heard anything else on his status yet. And then Jakar Sampson missed Tuesday's game with an illness, so he's questionable too. I guess they got some bug going around.
You think they watched the Spurs game together and got sick?
So cheesesteaks, remember?
Oh, yeah. I mean, those are deadly.
Who was it? Who was that?
Kawhi.
It was Kawhi. That's right.
Yeah, he probably had another one. That's probably why the Warriors won.
All right, so let's break this game down. I think you're looking at three guys here really: Ish Smith, Robert Covington, and Nerlens Noel. We saw on Tuesday kind of what we expected. Those three showed out. Ish and Nerlens kind of worked their connection together. The 1-2 connection. Ish finished with 39 DK points. Noel finished with 38. So, I mean, where are we at with those two? I know they're going to be going up against like Reggie and Andre Drummond here. So, confident enough to roster ish in FanDuel cash?
I kind of am. Yeah. I mean, I still like him a lot. I don't think he's as necessary though. I think we have other options at point.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'd rather do Isaiah, and then we got some cheaper guys we'll talk about later. But I don't see the need to go him. So I like him as a tournament play though, because he has immense upside. And then I think Nerlens is interesting because his stats are great as a center, and this matchup, I'm not too terribly terrified of Drummond here. So I kind of like Nerlens a lot, even in cash in this matchup.
Okay, yeah, I think I'm borderline. I'm on the fence with Nerlens. I have to see. At 6,400 though, I for sure want some exposure to him in tournaments at the very least. And yeah, I'll have to see how this. I haven't looked too much and started building rosters yet, but he'll be in the conversation for sure. Obviously, he gets a nice little uptick here.
Oh yeah, for sure. And I'm not as high on Covington. We've talked about the Pistons' kind of wing defense before.
Yeah.
I don't think his price has dropped to the point where you're running and grabbing him in cash here. But I think he's still an option, especially on FanDuel where you got to start 2.
And 5,100 too. I think that's still
cheap there. Yeah.
Yeah, because I think he's going to play 32 minutes or so in this one. And
I think it would depend on some of these status updates too on where I rank Covington as a cash play.
All right. Looking further, if you want like punt plays, TJ McConnell is okay.
We've kept him off this pod for like a month and a half, 2 months.
Young Nash has transformed his game. He used to be like super like trigger shy, like he didn't shoot at all. But now he's like he's
going to the free throw line too.
Yeah, he's really aggressive now offensively. Yeah. So I like that. I think
we got to him. He had to have listened to one of those earlier pods, and now he's taking it to heart. Nash.
He's going hard. I don't mind him. As a punt play, he was pretty high on my model on DK. He paid off too.
No, yeah. I mean, there's another player who did that too, who's high on your model.
Nope.
No credit to him.
Nope.
What about your boy Rashawn Holmes?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't feel too comfortable with that front court rotation. I don't know. Maybe Carl Landry comes into plays. I'm not confident enough in Holmes' minutes, even though he's pretty productive on a permanent basis.
I just don't think it's like necessary, really.
I feel more confident with McConnell as a punt play, like in cash. I think Holmes I would only like look at like as a tournament punt play.
Yeah, and even then it's
iffy.
Getting too much upside there.
Right. Yeah, McConnell is 200 more on FanDuel, and 200 more on DK as well. So I'd much rather just pay the $200 more to pay it for McConnell. All right, so any no interest in hot sauce Castillo?
No, I'll never. No, yeah, no.
He played 38 minutes.
It's horrible. That's a crime. That's terrible. I mean,
38 minutes.
Yeah, he actually shot decent, right?
Yeah, he finished with 28.5 DK points.
Oof. I mean, if Cannon and Jakar are out, he's gonna see a lot of minutes again. But
Brett Brown loves him. Like he like a week ago before he like got hurt or whatever, he was playing big minutes at the expense of Covington.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with the numbers and trust the Detroit perimeter defense here.
Maybe he wants like some tournament exposure at all to Stauskas at 3,600 on FanDuel.
Someone else can have that. Stauskas at
3,500,
4.5% owned or whatever.
All right, so you'll play Kyle Korver, but you won't play.
I'll play Kyle Korver in cash.
Oh my God!
Let's get this straight. I'm not looking for upside from Korver.
All right, we need to move on here. All right, let's move on to the Detroit side. I can't even do this anymore. So we got everybody healthy as usual. Drummond and Teague not Teague. Drummond and Reggie Jackson rather. And on the Atlanta tip, they're talking Kyle Korver. Got them mixed up. So yeah, Drummond, Reggie Jackson. Where are we at on those guys here?
Yeah, this matchup's incredible for
Juicy
Drummond.
spot,
So,
but 12-point spread. Will we see a little too much Aaron Baines?
oh, Aaron Baines, it's a nightmarish name to me. But yeah, I'm hesitant to roll Drummond in cash.
Same here.
As much as I like him a lot in this matchup, and I think he's really safe, it's just still there's that small risk that I think is not maybe worth the cash play. So I think he becomes a great tournament option, though. I think he can have a huge game in this one.
Yeah.
And then what about Pope with a great matchup? And he'd be more of a cash play, but at a kind of thin shooting guard position. Would you consider him at all in cash?
I would. I think this is a 5,700 on DK, 5,800 on FanDuel. I think this is a pretty good spot for him.
I do too. Yeah, I don't mind him.
I don't he's not a player I usually seek out, but he is. He's been pretty consistent over the last 2 weeks. I think his range on FanDuel for the last 2 weeks has been 22 to 34 points.
Yeah, it's great.
The last 10 days. So
and he plays,
a lot of minutes. So
you
security too.
Right. And great matchup, obviously. So he's someone I'm looking at for sure in cash.
All right. Yeah, on FanDuel where you have to start too. I think.
And then I'm not opposed to some Marcus Morris tournament exposure either.
Yeah.
He's been pretty bad, but I think he still has this transition defense he's facing and everything. I think he can have a big game here. Yeah,
I think big for him is 25 to 28 FanDuel points. Probably realistically. What do you think his ceiling is 30 plus?
Kinda. He's hit it. I mean, he's hit it before.
Yeah,
it feels like it's been a while.
It has been a while.
So he's the same price as Covington, and I think the pivot there, the lower ownership, tournament wise, I think could pay off here.
Okay. All right. So
and then Reggie Jackson, I think, obviously is a great tournament play as well.
Yeah. Same kind of concerns with Andre Drummond a little bit with the minutes downside potentially. All right. So next one, Clippers Hawks. So I want to highlight this game because I think this is the closest spread I believe that we have on the slate. And so I want to highlight this one because this is on a slate like this where we see big lines all over the place, big spreads. Maybe you want to pay up in cash to get some exposure in a game like this, to have some minutes security and a bit of a higher floor. So guys like CP3, DeAndre, and Paul Millsap, I think get a little extra bonus. In this scenario where we kind of expect this to be close and these guys to play pretty deep into the fourth quarter.
Yeah, I completely agree with you there. You want to just limit your risk in cash games, and this is the best way to do it on this slate where you're not too worried about these blowouts. So, and I'm with you. I have the same cash plays, and maybe you can throw Bazemore in there on FanDuel at just 5,200 as an option. So, but definitely CP3, DeAndre too, and Millsap in cash. I'm fine with all three.
Yeah. Tournament plays, let's see, Schroeder. But that's it's a rather close spread. So I don't know about the spot for him specifically. I don't know. I'm not really interested in really anybody on the Clippers side.
Yeah, I know it's ugly looking at them
really
outside of CP3 and DeAndre. It's like
Redick has big first quarters, and then he just nothing.
And then the other two starters are just they're dead weights. I mean, worthless for our purposes. I really like Horford as a tournament play in this one.
Okay.
And then Schroeder, I'm with you there. I'm not too high on him, but at the same time, you got to think of what are the odds that this is a blowout to where his ownership is that low, and it might be worth it for him to have a big game. So I think that you got to break that down, and it could be worth some Schroeder exposure here at really, really low ownership.
Right. You come in, you have a good point, because if you're thinking this is more like a higher stakes mindset, thinking about what your opponents are thinking of. I think on a lower, you can play it straight up, like on a higher stake level, you think, okay, maybe everybody thinks it's going to be a close game. You know, Schroeder's not going to be highly owned, so I'll just play him just because of that. You know,
Right.
I kind of like that way of thinking there.
Did you go through injuries in this game?
Well, I mean, there's only one. Blake Griffin punched
Oh, there's
the
two.
equipment manager.
Yeah, I was going to say the equipment manager. Punched in face. He's doubtful. So adjust your lineups accordingly. It's a big injury.
Oh, man.
Got
Yeah.
knocked out.
Yeah, twice. Yeah, a disaster.
Bizarre.
What a disaster.
Yeah, I will say that I'm not considering Corver in cash. Just getting that out there.
Good. All right. Come to the light side.
Yeah.
I will say that I did. Okay, I was actually thinking of playing FanDuel cash that slate, and then I put together my lineup. I'm like, oh crap, Corver's in my lineup, so I decided to sit that one out.
That's too much hate. I'm sure it was a top.
It cost me
lineup.
Yeah, it cost me a lot of money.
Yeah, that's what you get. That's
what I gotta ask for it, because I would have loaded up on that Kings Hornets game.
Yeah, I mean that's what I did.
Oh my gosh,
the double OT was pretty nice. It's a crazy slate.
Yeah, next time I play Corver, it's probably going to cost me a lot of money. But
yeah, I mean,
it's the way it goes.
You don't need to play him on this slate, I don't think so.
Yeah. Fine. All right. So let's move on to next game, Thunder versus the Wolves. We saw the Thunder play on Tuesday. Pretty exciting overtime game there against the Knicks. Really kind of not what we were expecting at all, but it turned out to be a really good game without Melo. So, them coming off this game, they're 8.5-point favorites over the Wolves. Andre Robertson is out at least 3 weeks now with a sprained right knee. His first missed game was on Tuesday. And on the Wolves side, we got both of the Kevins out. Garnett with the sore right knee and Martin out with the sore right wrist. All right, so let's start on OKC's side. And, we start at the top. I think it's still the same two. Obviously, Kevin Durant, Russell Westbrook both had big games. Durant's kind of been the hotter option of the two as of late. Matchup-wise,
I'm fine with both. I mean, matchup-wise, I don't think that is – I'm not scared of the matchup for either of them.
Yeah, I mean, either.
They're pretty matchup-proof.
They are, especially at this point.
Against the Wolves, yeah.
Right. So, both make for, solid cash game option. I definitely think they'll be up there.
Are you worried at all about the overtime back-to-back minutes-wise? Because, we've seen Durant before not openly admit that it's nothing to him to play a back-to-back. He's in the NBA. He's young. So, and Westbrook obviously is a machine, as we saw when he got dented in the face and kept playing. So I'm not too worried about it. I like this total and them on the road here. So
yeah, they're 109.3 implied, which is massive. I think, for me, it's like these two monopolize so much of the offense that I don't see like guys like Dion Waiters or like Cantor having like huge games and like something taking like a lot of the offense away from Russ and KD.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. How are they going to get? Yeah. So I'm not.
They need to get to 109 somehow, right?
Yeah, and it's not going to be Waiters who played 43 minutes and did nothing still.
Yeah, Waiters played 43 minutes and finished with 19 DK points.
Yeah, it's gross.
There's just a couple players out there I'm trying to name. It used to be
Justice Winslow is the guy.
But he's been doing some stuff. KCP's been doing some stuff. KCP used to be my standby, the KCP special.
Yeah, KCP's always had it in him though.
Yeah. All right. Obviously Durant and Westbrook at the top. Steven Adams.
Big minutes.
Really good lately, but obviously a tough matchup here against Karl Anthony Towns.
Right.
Tournament play. I think.
And Ibaka, I think too. I think Adams and Ibaka deserve some tournament exposure with Russ and KD leaning more cash, but obviously them tournament as well.
Yeah, and it's still KD is the better player in DK at 9,800, and I
Yeah.
like Russ on FanDuel at 10,5, where KD is 10,2 there.
Mhm.
All right, so yeah, we're off waiters.
Any
Yeah,
Cantor at all, or
eh,
I
I don't
agree.
know.
I don't love it in his spot, but I mean he has upside and he's always so low owned is why I generally like him more than most people.
Small exposure is fine. I don't mind
Yeah,
it. He's not one of your top tournament plays, but if you throw it together, 100 lineups, one or two, cancers won't kill you.
yeah, right.
All right, so let's move on to Minnesota here, and Garnett and Martin being out, kind of shift things around a
This is
little bit.
my favorite team to target in
Yeah,
tournaments for the Wolves.
I'm
I
fine with
love
Carl.
it.
I'm fine with Carl Towns and cash too, honestly, against
I
OKC.
don't like. I'm worried about the matchup a little bit.
Yeah,
Cash. That's tough. It's tough
yeah,
banging heads
but
down low.
he played against Cleveland.
Yeah, no, I mean,
I think
I
he's.
agree. That was
I think the
great.
way he's been playing, I feel pretty confident with him. Matchup wise, I'm not too scared away here.
I think it's pretty bold for Cash. I don't think
Yeah,
he'll carry a high ownership on either site in Cash, but
7K on DK. Mm.
I don't know. I mean, I love him for tournaments, but I probably I won't. I don't think I'll go him in Cash.
Okay, so we both like him in general.
But yeah, I mean, I do like him. I'm just a little bit hesitant with the. I don't like the matchup a lot for him.
So you on Rubio too?
Yeah, I'm on all these guys. I'm on Wiggins, Rubio,
Shabazz.
yeah, Baz. Obviously not Tayshaun, of course. But yeah, and I'm on Zach LaVine too. I mean, I love this
Yeah,
team for tournaments. I love attacking every part of it, and having a lot of exposure to this team. They're playing a team that's already not great defensively on an overtime back to back
right.
at home. I mean, I think there's gonna be a lot of points in this game, and I think this game can stay close too. And that's why I really like attacking the Wolves in tournaments.
I totally agree. And Levine saw 30 minutes last game. Played some shooting guard finally
Yeah.
with Kevin Martin out. So definitely like him in tournaments.
And I really love Wiggins with Robertson out. I think is huge that they're missing.
Right,
That's their best defender. Well,
right, because he's gonna see.
Ibaka.
Yeah, wing defender. So
Yeah.
whatever. Yeah. So yeah, Wiggins going up against
So
Williams Island.
right, yeah. I mean, I love this spot for all these guys.
Yeah, yeah, this is definitely a juicy spot for sure. I think 100.8 implied might be a little low for this team.
Mm-hmm.
I think it might go a little higher than that, actually.
Yep.
All right. Let's see. No interest in Gorgie at all. We worried with the minutes there with Bielitsa potentially.
Yeah, and my boy Peck.
Oh God, yeah.
What? So you think they're gonna say Peck's gonna get extended minutes again? 3 minutes before lineups. Say no. Just kidding. We're just kidding, guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, like that was a huge joke.
We're only gonna play him 5 minutes in the first half.
Yeah. I guess throw Gorgie in there. Why not? I mean, he has plenty of upside. So
Gorgie Cantor over Gorgie though, right?
yeah, I would think so. Yeah. Cantor's a freak offensively. I mean,
Just for DFS purposes, Cantor's perfect. Like he plays like a
yeah. I mean, we don't even.
I don't care.
I bet like 60% of DFS players think he's like really good.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, look at his per; it's incredible. Yeah. You're like, whoa, it's half.
Yeah. All right, so let's move on to this next game here. Rockets versus Spurs. Spurs favored by 10. Rockets injury report, Dwight Howard upgraded to questionable with that sprained left ankle. I think Dwight's presence really throws kind of a wrench in things overall for Houston. We saw quite a few guys benefit in his absence, namely like Trevor Ariza playing a lot of 4, and guys like Josh Smith, maybe even a little Capella, seeing extended roles in that front court. But if Dwight comes back on Wednesday, I think it really shuts it down kind of for everybody, and even for like James Harden.
Yeah.
Because, his rebound potential was something that I liked a lot, kind of adding that triple double dimension to his to his appeal. So I'm kind of off. I mean, this against the Spurs on the road, I'm off most, if not all, these Rockets players if Dwight plays.
Yeah, I'm with you there. I think Harden will have really low ownership, but I don't see the massive upside for his price that will make it worth it. So I'm pretty much off everyone. If Dwight's out, I mean, I think Josh Smith be a little bit interesting, especially if this game gets out of hand.
Yeah, the thing is, like, I knew the letdown was coming. I knew it was coming.
I think a lot of people did, but he was
the price is
3,900. Yeah,
the price is so good.
I didn't like him. You just kind of had to go him in that spot.
The pricing algorithm it just makes it like you had to play him, even though you
kind of did. I mean, he did shoot 2 for 11. Like he could have had a better game. He made a couple more shots. He wouldn't have killed you or anything. But I think we saw a lot of lineups still do really well, win some big qualifiers and whatnot with Josh Smith in their lineup. So
right, because he was so cheap and so highly owned, so it didn't even matter. All right, let's move on to the San Antonio side. Tim Duncan, an actual injury. I joked about it before, but like I kind of knew this was sort of serious because he didn't even travel to Oakland. He traveled back to San Antonio to get treatment, so he's out with a sore right knee still. I want to play a little narrative street here for once.
Narrative street.
Some narrative street.
I haven't even brought up narrative street in a long time.
I think
let's hear it.
LaMarcus Aldridge.
He's my favorite cash play in this game anyways.
So my narrative street is he deleted all of his social media. He deleted his Twitter account, deleted his Instagram account, man on a mission. And
what is with the Warriors are getting coaches fired, social media accounts abolished. Like what? They're just ruining people's lives.
Right?
I more so throw that narrative garbage out of here. And Aldridge, this matchup could not be better for anyone really playing the Rockets with Aldridge position wise. So, and if Dwight's out, it's even.
I care not for your data. I want my narrative.
Well, just add that on top. I think price point. Yeah, I agree. I think Aldridge is a cash play. I'm a psycho. You've seen me play guys at 4% ownership or whatever. So I don't think Aldridge will be highly owned at all, especially after last game. That huge dud. He had the worst game he's had as a Spur. So, but quick memory, I think this is a great spot for him. It's fantastic. So I wouldn't mind going him in cash personally.
You're such a psycho, and you like talking down off Karl-Anthony Towns like I was a psycho for considering him in cash. Are you kidding me?
Look at the matchups.
I don't care.
They're not even close.
I know.
It's complete opposites.
But I'm talking like form here, and I don't know, recent play at least.
You weigh it, but like that, I don't. For me, I weigh the matchup more.
All right.
I like Kawhi a lot as well.
Yeah. Kawhi. That Warriors game. They're really only like consistent offense was Kawhi in the post, and he was money there, and I think that whole. They'll bounce back strong in the spot, obviously, against Houston, and, I think he'll have a big game. I think a guy you want to look at maybe in tournaments, what do you think about Tony Parker a little bit against Pat Beverly?
Yeah, I don't know. Not really in tournaments. I don't like his upside that much. I think he'd be more of kind of like a cash play, if anything. I'm just a lot more high on Kawhi and Aldridge in this one. And
you think they'll see a lot of the usage? Maybe I was swung by the fact that like the first 5 minutes of the game, Parker's usage was like 80%. I think like literally like, he took like the first 5 shots of the game.
Yeah, that's crazy. I don't know. I will have very low exposure to Parker.
Okay.
But definitely Kawhi at 7,500 on FanDuel, I think is pretty great there.
Yeah, I like that a lot. What he's at on 8,200 on DK. Yeah, not as
steeper.
Still fine, but Aldridge. Let's see, 7,100 on 6,600 on FanDuel. Aldridge.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, I'm fine with that in cash, but that's like what is it? Nerlens and Aldridge right there. So that's That's pretty tough for me. Who to go?
Yeah, who would you go? I mean, the matchups are different. Obviously, Aldridge has the matchup. Nerlens has the ish factor and no jaw. Hmm.
You're probably going one of those guys. Well, I think Nerlens will be pretty highly owned, honestly.
Yeah.
On FanDuel at 6,400.
Yeah, and Aldridge definitely
And
won't
just
be
kind of look at power forward overall. It's not great.
Right. All right. So yeah, we gotta mention Boban. I mean, we have to.
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, yeah, tournament cash. I mean, why not? What's stopping people from rostering Boban and cash? What is it? What do we need?
What's his price? Let me see.
9K or something.
He's 3,600 on DK and 3,700 on FanDuel. So it's like implied is like 16 points. 16 points on.
So he needs to play 3 minutes to pay off his price. I mean, that's a given.
Yeah, man. I don't know where we at. Are we?
I would just do a little bit of tournament. I'm not like I've been higher on him in other games than this one, but I think it's pretty clear he'll see the court. I think with Duncan out, so this is a 10-point spread. Spurs are at home. I mean, they're incredible at home, so I can see Boban having a pretty solid game here. I wouldn't mind like a dirt cheap price. You can definitely attack a lot of these other positions.
I'm definitely on the side that the Spurs will cover this one.
I would think so. Rockets beat them earlier. I don't know. Yeah, I would think so. But it's just more just the Spurs at home are dominant.
Yeah.
We need to see a Warriors at AT&T Center game.
I think we'll get like rocked just because.
Yeah, I know. I do too. Yeah. It's crazy. These teams are so good at home.
Yeah.
But yeah, Boban, a little bit of tournaments I'm fine with.
Okay.
Definitely.
All right, so next game, Hornets versus Jazz, the second smallest spread of the slate. Jazz favored by 5.5 here. Hornets injuries: Batum and Jeremy Lamb both questionable with sprained right toes, and then we still got Cody Zeller out with that sprained shoulder. On the Jazz side, Raul Neto out with a concussion. All right, so let's start with the Hornets side. Yeah, I think this is pretty prime again for Kemba Walker against
Trey. It is, but it's just total opposite in pace-wise for the Hornets.
Right. So we have to mention 92.8 imply for the Hornets, which is probably the lowest implied total of the slate, I would imagine. I don't think it gets much lower than that.
Yeah, so I'm definitely hesitant on some of these guys. And especially in tournaments, just because I think people will kind of just look at the recent play of Kemba and whatever, and he'll probably maybe carry a higher ownership than usual given the matchup and the pace and everything. Gobert at the rim, I think is
true
bad for Kemba. So I don't know. I think it will depend on these injury statuses for how I treat specifically Kemba and Jeremy Lin. So I think Batum and Lamb will be pretty important too. But we might not know in time. It's possible. So
yeah, they play late again, huh?
Yeah. So I don't know. I don't. Kemba's. I mean, he's pretty expensive. I think if.
Yeah, he's 8,800 on DK.
Yeah, he's better on DK.
Yeah.
9,200 on FanDuel. Lane is the guy. I mean, that I might like more given price if Batum and Lamb are out.
Right. Yeah, Lane 5,400 on FanDuel and 5,700 on DK.
Yeah, so I think a lot of that will depend on Batum and Lamb status, with both being questionable. And I don't know. Do you think they're leaning towards doubtful though? Because they've been questionable, especially Lamb, for quite a few games now.
I think they might be leaning more doubtful because I haven't heard anything optimistic, and
right.
I think Batum was actually like straight out like last game.
Yeah,
that it was just the injury report was a little behind, but I saw
it was. Yeah, that early one, that was he was rolled out early.
Yeah.
With the Kings report. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, exactly. So
a tricky one. And then Haas, I don't think you need to mess around with against Gobert. I think this is kind of the time to
get off the Haas train.
Yeah.
Yeah, 4K on FanDuel makes it tempting, but I definitely agree with you there. It's
I'd definitely try to avoid that.
Right. I think it's definitely a trap spot for sure. Especially coming after after his a string of big lines for him.
Right. So I think as it stands, I think Kemba is more of a solid tournament play as of now. And then kind of if we get news that Lamb and Batum are out, then he might creep into that cash game. But I don't know. I'm trying to think of the guys that we're spending on really for cash. And you might be able to fit him in a bit easier than it was the other night, especially on DK. Where it was pretty difficult to afford him.
Right. I think the only guy, we haven't mentioned too many
so you're not going hard in. Westbrook and Durant I think are fine, but it's kind of. I mean, I guess I like one of them if you can go them, but then you got the overtime back to back is a little bit of a factor.
Right, and LeBron has the blowout factor against Phoenix.
Right, yeah, you can't go LeBron.
So I think maybe you spend it for Chris Paul at 9,700. I think that might be
the close spread is definitely means a lot, and a much higher total, obviously, than this Hornets Jazz game.
Right. So I think like CP3 and like KD and Russ, the top cash game studs of the slate. All right, let's see here.
No love for Troy Daniels, 8 for 11 from downtown.
Hey, I liked him in my model last game, and he came through. He hit the game winner at the end, too.
Yeah, he did. That was cold-blooded.
Yeah.
He's bringing together some decent games outside of one, but, not bad.
Yeah, that dud, too. He, played, 37 minutes and then played, 11.
Right. Yeah, so.
That's weird.
Yeah, I'm not really considering him.
Yeah, they're not Marvin either, or PJ or Frank Kaminsky. Yeah, like you said, this is not a I mean, I thought, individually the matchup makes sense against Trey Burke, but the pace and the total
is the pace and Gobert at the rim. It's just not great.
All right, so let's go to the Jazz side. They're at 98.3 implied. Like you said, Raul Neto is out with a concussion, and so that puts Trey Burke 4,700 on FanDuel and 4,400 on DK square into punt play consideration. They're very thin at point guard, so we'll have to play big ones. I think their backup point guard now is Eric Green, who they just signed to a 10-day. So he's
not good.
Yeah, he's not good. So Burke's gonna have to play, I don't know, upwards of 34 plus minutes in this one. So I'm fine with him at 4,400 on DK.
I'm fine with him in cash. I think it's a kind of easy play here, just getting that value out of him and solid minutes for sure. But I don't love him starting it.
I don't either.
Hood and Hayward getting a lot of shot attempts, so I don't think his usage will be too high. But I like the fact that he'll have the ball a lot, and he's not Neto, so it's a totally different point guard on the court. So. I think
the risk with him, there's downside, I'll say, even with the minutes, because he doesn't dime well either for a point guard. He averages 2.7 this, on the season. So if he's not hitting shots, and he won't shoot as much, obviously, in this spot with the starting unit, then you don't have a lot to fall back on with the supporting stats. It's very lacking. He's averaging 0.6 steals per game, 0.1 blocks per game, so there's very little behind that. So I definitely think there's downside, but
at the same time, I don't think he'll have a hard time meeting value. So it's kind of, for me, I like his 3-point. The DK bonus is great, so definitely hit some threes, and I think he'll certainly pay off his price on both sides to where it's
agreed.
And especially on DK, I mean, you can still get Kemba, you can get Isaiah Thomas, and you could throw Burke in your guard or utility even, and on FanDuel you got to start 2. So I think he'll be pretty highly owned, but I think it's a good fade in tournaments because
Oh, I think it's an
kind of
easy
brought
fade
up.
in
Yeah,
tournament.
we just brought up kind of his downside. So
Yeah,
I would probably have a good bit less than the field
yeah.
exposure to Burke. I mean, he can definitely go off still, but I wouldn't like overload him at all by any means.
Right. I don't like the pace of this game either for like an explosion. It just generally limits its upside. All right, so Gordon Hayward, Rodney Hood, Rudy Gobert, the other guys in the spot. Yeah, Hood.
They're mostly tournament plays for me,
Yeah,
I think. I mean, Hood's the guy in cash, I guess, but we've kind of discussed him and how inconsistent he can be. So, but 5,600 on FanDuel, I don't think is too bad here, especially if Batum is out.
yeah, and Hayward. I'm okay with him, but I don't think he's a must at all. I think this is kind of like middle of the road option, and
Right,
doesn't
and
really stand.
Kawhi is cheaper than Hayward, so I
Oh
think
yeah, yeah.
you definitely go Kawhi there.
Agreed. All right, so yeah, and I'm fine with
And
Gobert as a
Gobert
tournament.
and turn,
I
yeah,
think
for
the
sure.
Gobert is easily like my favorite tournament option
Hmm.
out of this group. Obviously, Hornets are decimated in the front
Yep.
court. Gobert has been playing um, fuller minutes as of late, and Favors will probably come off the bench again.
Yeah, I would think so too. Yeah,
Because
especially
your
now
bench,
if Burke's
yeah,
starting.
no Trey Burke means that bench is going to be horrific. So I think they'll
Yeah, I
need
think,
Favors to come off the bench.
and you're estimating around 20 minutes again, I'm sure, 20, 22 or so.
Right, it should be
Yeah.
still be on a bit of a minutes cap. All right, so I think that about does it for Utah. Let's move on to the final game of the slate. I think
Yep.
Mavs against the Warriors. Warriors favored by 15 and a half points here. Getting a little payback for that last shellacking that they
That
took.
line has no love for JJ Barea. It's
JJ
horrible.
Barea went off on
He
Tuesday.
crushed him, or he crushed him last time.
Yeah, he went off on Tuesday too. He's going off right
Yeah. So I mean, cash.
now.
Right. Someone will play it. I
You would
will
know.
look at my games, and someone will have Barea in cash for some.
Yeah, I think that didn't you place people in cash that Warriors game where they rostered JJ Barea?
I play someone every night who has Barea in cash. Incredible. I like attract Barea to opponents. Like I don't know what it is.
Yeah, so let's start out with the
So
Dallas
and the
side.
Mavs they're obviously on a back to back here on the
Right.
road at the Oracle. So
Zaza has a game time decision with that right lower leg injury, and Devin Harris is doubtful with that sprained left toe. Warriors only injury. Magadu's still out, obviously, and then Festus Festus Swagazili is questionable with a left knee injury. All right, so let's start with the Mavs. All tournament options only in this spot.
Salah Medri, I mean, cash all day. What did he finish with tonight?
I didn't look at this line.
I didn't look at the
Disappointing for
end.
sure.
Yeah.
Go ahead. I'll interject. I'll interject with Salah's line. Anybody else you like? How do you feel about Parsons here?
I mean, not great matchup wise. Yeah. So, I mean, I talked to you about this earlier. If anyone's going to rest on the Mavs, they might just wave the towel. I mean, how do you come into this game after watching them beat the Spurs by 30 and be like, yeah, we're on a back-to-back. We got Dirk, who sat plenty of back-to-backs this season. So this wouldn't be a surprise, I don't think, if we saw Dirk sit.
All right. So if Dirk sat, then I'm not even on Charlie V.
No.
Powell.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you can't be. I mean, like I guess Parsons and then Dirk if he plays, those are the only two guys I'd even look at in tournaments. Maybe Zaza, but
No, I'm not really on Zaza, but coming back off that injury, I
yeah,
don't like the spot. I think if Dirk is out, I'm interested in Parsons a little bit in tournaments.
yeah, that makes sense. I mean, yeah, if Dirk's out, they'll definitely bump up the usage for everyone else. So overall, though, I'm off the
Yeah,
Mavs
obviously
pretty
it's
hard.
a really bad spot.
And even in tournaments, it's really hard to kind of play a scenario where one of these guys offers immense value that you need in a tournament.
Yeah.
Obviously, the ownership will be there on your side. So
Right.
Like the main thing going for you if you roster these guys is that they'll carry very low ownership, but the upside is just, I think, lacking. But yeah, I agree. Parsons is the guy. If
I mean,
someone sits, that
they're
will
still
kind
implied
of,
at 99.8, which is like insane for like insanely high for like an Eastern Conference team. To be fair.
but, I mean, yeah, well, I don't know. I think they're gonna get crushed.
Yeah, they are.
So,
Salah finished with 9-4.
perfect bounce back game.
He was like supposed to be like Boban light.
I like Salah. Yeah,
I do like him too.
I think he's solid.
I'm shocked that he was so bad against this Lakers front line.
It's crazy. That's what happens with the high ownership. That's why you fade the high ownership people like in this spot in tournaments.
Right.
He still has downside.
Yeah, I think he's like Josh Smith. Like, people in cash probably still did okay with him. Really cheap.
Yeah, I could see that. So it was a high scoring night too. So
yeah. All right. So Warriors side. Yeah.
Go anyone in cash? I don't think you can go anyone in cash.
Yeah. Steph tournament.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And then, yeah, Draymond.
I don't know. Yeah, he's not. You can't really go him in cash.
Right, I don't love him. You can go have a little bit of him in tournaments. I don't love him in tournaments either.
Yeah.
Don't love Klay Thompson in tournaments. I think this is a team, the Warriors, that just beats you collectively. And Steph's really going to be the only one that really puts up, a big line out of this.
And this kind of individual matchup for some of these guys isn't like that brutal. So I don't think it'll be as reliant on Steph, you could say.
Yeah.
To kind of push them into cash game where you think even if they do win by 20, Steph will still get 55. But I mean, he certainly could, obviously, but it's something I'm not trying to spend on Steph and cash in a 15.5 point spread.
Right.
Especially if the Mavs sit someone on the back-to-back.
Yeah, and the problem also with the Warriors is that their bench isn't very fantasy friendly either. And you kind of look up and down with Livingston, Iguodala.
And even if Swagzilly sits, I mean, I still don't know what that changes for us in terms of who you –
Mo buckets.
I mean, yeah, Spades. Has he had like a big game yet this season? I don't think he has.
He played well against – who was it? Boston, I feel like.
He put up 26.75 against the Spurs, so that's I consider that.
Last game?
Yeah, I didn't even. He probably went home by the time he got his.
No, I didn't go home because I watched the entire fourth quarter for
Boban, right? Yeah, Spades. Yeah, he got 31. Yeah, I mean, I don't think that's a bad tournament play. He's 3,100.
Get a little more buckets in your life.
Buckets. Yeah, if Azili's out, I mean.
McAdoo's out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting tournament play. I'm gonna have some spades. I love having Mo buckets.
Yeah, it's a great sweat because he's shooting every time.
Even when you lose all your money, you're still watching Mo spades, so it's a win.
Exactly.
That's the way I look at it, at least.
Exactly. It's why you always roster Boban. Put some Boban in life.
Yeah, exactly. So cash wise, I don't think. Unfortunately, even at this implied total, that you can really comfortably roll someone at their prices.
All right. So shall we go through position by position?
Yep.
All right. I'm trying to catch up on statuses here and see if we missed anything. All right. So let's start off with point guard. All right. Steph Curry, the tournament option for sure. Russell Westbrook, cash up there with Durant. Westbrook's the better option on FanDuel at 10.5. I love Chris Paul in this spot. Close spread in a slate with a lot of lopsided, spreads. Kemba, we're worried about the pace with Utah, kind of trappy there. Like Isaiah Thomas a lot in cash. Good with Ish.
Probably more so on what's he on FanDuel? He's
let me look.
He's 6,900 there, so a little bit better value there.
Yeah. Okay. Reggie. Some tournaments fine, but worried a little bit about the minutes with a potential blowout. Sixers on the second leg of a back-to-back. Kyrie's okay in tournaments. Rubio's okay in tournaments. We like Minnesota. Getting OKC at home in the second leg of a back-to-back. Yeah, Moody is really iffy, even with Jameer doubtful. Jeremy Lin could be an interesting tournament play if Batum and Jeremy Lamb are ruled out. Tony Parker's iffy. Smart's okay as a tournament option for sure. Love Levine as a tournament option.
Yep.
With Kevin Martin ruled out. Trey Burke is a solid punt play. Limited ceiling though, so fade in tournaments.
And high ownership probably.
Yeah. Oh, and we also like Delvedova.
Your boy, yeah, Deli.
No, that's Brian's boy. What are you talking about?
Oh yeah, Brian loves Deli. He's a clean player.
Yeah. He's a saint. He's just in wrong spots all the time.
He plays hard. Yeah, but I do like that tournament spot. Yeah.
Yeah, I like him a lot. That's really sneaky.
Mm-hmm.
I think he'll be really low owned. Like McConnell, kind of was a good punt play at 3,200.
And we're really going down here.
Hey man, I think point guard's getting pretty deep today.
Yeah, this is wild.
Yeah. I mean, this is a good tournament spot. You just have a lot of cheap options to, get some weird roster construction going.
Yep.
All right, so shooting guard, off James Harden against the Spurs. Like Andrew Wiggins, drawing Waiters Island. Bradley's always an option. Shooting guard on FanDuel. We like KCP in this spot against Philly.
Mm-hmm.
I think he has a decent floor in this one, considering cash. Will the Thrill, okay in tournaments. Not really liking Devin Booker in this spot personally.
Yeah, very tough.
Yeah, I'll draw some Shumpert too. J.R. Smith, some exposure in tournaments given this spot.
J.R. could totally hit 9 threes in this game.
He could. Yeah, he could. Archie Goodwin, don't like this matchup, don't like the spot at all, but he's going to see heavy minutes and still good price for him with Brandon Knight still out. And let's see. Oof.
Gets bad real quick.
Stauskas,
yeah.
Stauskas, on the virtue of him seeing maybe like 36, 38 minutes, might do something.
Obviously monitor status of Cannon and Jahar.
Right, exactly. Yeah, and that's about it. We get to the 3K guys pretty quickly here. All right, we get to small forward here. Yeah, kind of off LeBron just with the spread. Don't really see the need to play him in cash and question the upside in tournaments. If he's only going to play like 3.5 quarters. KD, strong cash on DraftKings at 9,800. Kawhi, strong cash. Tim Duncan, FanDuel with Kawhi. Not really loving Hayward.
He's more fine on DK. It's not a bad price. Yeah, he's 8,200 on FD.
Yeah, Gallinari's cooled a little bit. Plus, he draws Jay Crowder. Parsons, some tournament exposure if Dirk is out and he gets rested. Covington, decent cash, but Detroit's really stingy on the perimeter. Raw for Riza, especially if Dwight plays.
Yeah.
Spurs too. Yeah, you like a little Marcus Morris.
A little bit tournament, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I'm all about Shabazz in this spot. I think he'll have a good game. Kevin Garnett's out. And I think that's it. We get to 3K guys, yeah.
Yeah.
Right. So
Yeah, power forwards. Dre, a little bit of tournament exposure, I think, is fine here. But yeah, kind of off him just with that blowout looming. Millsap, I think, is fine for cash, especially if you got some money to spend at power forward. Kind of the way
yeah,
lineup's breaking down, I think he's a fine. You're looking at that safety that we're getting in that close spread, and Millsap in general being very safe. So I like him. I think you can have some love exposure. Kind of pick one of those Cleveland guys. Maybe they play some of the fourth quarter, hopefully. And Aldridge, I think, more so on FanDuel, that cheap price, I think is a fine cash option. It's like a contrarian cash play, so you might think there's not much need for it, but I wouldn't let that deter you from going him in cash with everything making sense in this matchup. And then I like him a lot as a tournament play. Noel, I think, is a cash game play. We're not too worried about the matchup here. I like the fact that Ja is out and Nerlens has better numbers at center. So Dirk probably. I could see him sitting. So Ibaka, I think, is fine as a tournament play here.
Let me interject real quick. Shout out to Dirk Nowitzki. Hit a nice game winner tonight versus the Lakers and got some dap from Kobe after.
Did he? Wow, I missed that.
He's still Dirk Nowitzki.
Was that during our pod?
That was during our pod. I had to watch it online.
Man, I need to quit doing these. Watch some basketball. All right, so yeah, Ibaka. Not really on Capela. I don't think, even with Dwight out in that matchup. A little bit of term exposure to Fareed.
Dwight's questionable, so I think he'll be back. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So off Marvin for the most part. I think Tristan. What is he? He's a lot cheaper on FanDuel. I don't think he's a terrible cash game play, assuming he draws the starts. But you're also risking decreased minutes for his usual starting, so it's a little bit worrisome there. Let's see. After that, I don't mind Josh Smith small tournament exposure if that game kind of gets out of hand. We've seen Josh Smith just kind of like a psycho player. So in garbage time, if he sees a lot of the court, I think he can put up a decent line there. That it? Yeah, I think so. So power forward is not very strong, it looks like.
Yeah, let me take a look here.
Like playable cash guys.
Yeah, Millsap I think is a must.
Like Millsap, Aldridge, or Aldridge kind of are the three that stand out to me.
Yeah,
I think some people will go Tristan.
Yeah, he's fine.
I think he'll have decent ownership on FanDuel.
I think on FanDuel, yeah, 4,600 on FanDuel. I'm good with that. But yeah, I'm not really feeling any of these guys, and yeah, I think
it's not
the likely return of Dwight Howard really complicates things. It takes me off,
and the matchup with those guys. All right, let's move on to center. So I think Drummond's a good play in both formats. Really, lean him in tournaments though. DeAndre, I think, is 7,100. Do you think he's kind of a cash play? I think.
Yeah, I'm good with it
for sure. Yeah,
I mentioned him with the close spread. I think it gives him some enhanced.
So do you like Towns more than DeAndre for cash?
I'd probably lean DeAndre.
I think I lean DeAndre. Yeah. Towns. So Towns could be cash though.
Hawks are awful rebounding the basketball. So DeAndre's gonna have a lot.
And it's just safe. It's just very safe. So I'm fine with DeAndre and cash. Towns I love for tournament. I'm really high on Minnesota overall. Horford I like as a tournament play as well. You're looking at another close game, with the spread. So Gobert, always a great tournament play. Says all these guys. Says Zaza's out.
No, Zaza's getting time.
Yeah, no. This is why we get so many questions.
I know.
DK not doing us any favors. It's terrible. I knew they had a part of that. Solinger, definitely some tournament exposure against the Nuggets. I like a lot. Him in that spot. And I think Olynyk as well. I think you can have some tournament exposure. I think he'll have pretty low ownership there. Good matchup. Jokic that's an interesting spot for him in cash because going down this
I,
list, there's not
I,
like a surefire.
like
So.
I said I'm good with Jokic and cash personally.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
think it's a little risky, but I'm okay with that because I think uh, most of the times he's probably going to hit value, and then some of the time he's going to crush value.
yeah. I agree.
I think you have to weigh upside too in cash. It's not all about
Yeah,
floor,
yeah,
right?
you do. Yep, and he's got great upside. So
I mean,
yeah.
especially if you're playing head to heads. I mean, Jokic
Mhm.
can be different between winning, 60% of your head to heads, like 80%.
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, pretty high in Jokic. We've seen him produce a lot in limited minutes here. So, um, no Tyson Chandler really, not in that matchup. Cantor maybe a little bit, but not as high on him as we have been in the past in other matchups. Spencer Haas, we both kind of like the fade
Trap
here.
spot,
Yep.
yeah.
So don't need to go him in cash. Steven Adams tournament is
Yeah.
I'm fine with. Some Gorgie tournament I think is fine, especially at that cheap price. Garnett's still out, and Pekovic will probably play 2 minutes at this rate. Boban, possibly some tournament exposure. You can never really go slate without some Boban exposure.
Always.
Like that there. Aaron Baines might play 38 minutes. Just kidding. That should be it, I think. I don't want to go too deep.
Yeah.
I say that when I just rolled Pekovic in cash.
I can't believe you rolled Pekovic in
Oh,
cash.
our favorite sneaky tournament play. He's lurking. We almost forgot about him. That's how sneaky is. Mo Buckets.
Oh
I
yeah.
think that's my favorite tournament play.
I think so too. I like that we talked ourselves into this stuff. I never would have thought coming in that I like Mo Buckets, but I think
Yeah,
that
but
it could
is
be
Zealy out? And
no.
yeah,
So Azili has to be ruled out for us to like him. Azili's
yeah.
Azili's questionable right now. So if Azili's ruled out, then we're all at Mo Buckets in tournaments.
Right, and that should do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm like really excited for this slate, and we got these big tournaments too. So it's kind of great to go. What's that tournament? I think 100 grand for first. So Mo Buckets is going to win me 100K tomorrow. It's pretty exciting. Love Mo Buckets.
The 1 million slam dunk. Yeah.
Yeah, 100K to first. I
Yeah.
wonder if there'll be overlay in that.
I don't know.
Entry 300. Probably
Yeah,
not.
once I enter 300 is
It's big, so probably not.
Because
But
you
yeah,
have
overall good slate. There are definitely some trap plays we kind of outlined there, so highlighted. And then it looks like we kind of have a good amount of value plays. So I don't think making a cash team will be very difficult. I think there's pretty decent chalk, but there's also these guys like Aldridge that you can consider cash, even Jokic that won't be highly owned, but are still pretty solid cash plays that I think you can consider there. And I think tournament wise, there's a lot of deeper strategy for this
yeah.
in particular than cash will be kind of dry cut with a few of these guys. So
Yeah, like power forward, I think you have to play Millsap, for example, just for the
it's looking
security.
like, yeah, I mean, and we're really high in Chris Paul and cash. Just want to go back to that it's a close spread. So you're really
Right.
limiting risk there, which is huge in cash games. And
Right.
if Chris Paul doesn't break value, he'll definitely get close to it.
Yeah, but he's probably going to play deep into the fourth quarter, whereas these
Exactly.
other guys, they'll give you three quarters.
LeBron, yeah. There are a lot of blowouts for these high-priced guys. And then Durant and Westbrook even on the back-to-back overtime is a little worrisome. So,
Right.
but yeah, definitely a good slate overall. Thanks for watching, guys. And I think it will be Pete and I on Thursday. We're going to try to do a pod. So we'll have that for you. And until then, good luck, everyone.
Good luck, guys.